I think we need to start getting more creative when it comes to funding the public schools. You can only get so much money out of the taxpayer in the city of Cranston, and you're only going to get so much money out of the state of Rhode Island. At some point, you hit the ceiling. So I think what we have to start to do is start to look at maybe something that Exeter West Greenwich did years ago, and maybe start to look at regionalization of certain services that we have in the public school system. For example, when I was a resident of the state of Pennsylvania, we regionalized the special ed services. So maybe on a county level, we could take the special ed services, which is one of the largest line items of the school department's budget, and regionalize those services to better distribute the funds amongst those students to meet their needs. We could regionalize fire services, we could regionalize police services, but in funding the school department, I don't think we're going to see any more money out of the city. I think we're going to have to start getting more creative with the dollars that we have.
John.
You know, as the son of two public school teachers and married another high school teacher in November, as well as someone who plans on having kids go through the Cranston Public Schools, of course we need to fund the schools more. How we're going to do that? I'd have to go through the budget with a fine brush to find where we could find additional funding for that. I think some ideas we could do is, make it easier and better support the local economy and local small businesses. That way we can shift some of the burden off of residential taxes and homeowners and onto commercial. If we can do things like supporting a Cranston restaurant week to get people coming into the city, we bring in more tax revenue, that's all revenue that can go to the schools. So budget-wise, I'd have to go through with a fine brush, but I think there are things that we can do to try and bring in more funding or more revenue.
Thank you. Ed?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, I've stated it publicly that, we need to find more money for the school system. Obviously, it's not easy being a council member and looking at the budget and figuring out ways how to balance that sheet. I think everyone understands that. We have a lot of people on the school committee, a non-paid position, that are volunteering their time and working really, really hard to, find that budget. Obviously, my goal is to work with the school committee, to work with parents, to work with teachers, to use my community-minded spirit to continue to, work on those relationships, figure it out. Mr. Trafficani's made up a great point. They've asked for $9 million in the last 5 years, and they've got almost $2 million. Obviously, we have to continue to figure out ways to be fiscally responsible, bring additional revenue into the city, and find a way to give that funding to the school department, amongst other departments that may need it, while still balancing the budget.
Stephen.
I definitely believe schools need more funding. I think that one of the main reasons people actually move to Cranston is because of the school system. I can say from my experience that Cranston has some of the best teachers in the state, and I think that the school buildings need to be just as good as the teachers are. When it comes to the budget, I definitely believe that there is some wiggle room in there. I agree with what my colleague John has said about the budget, and if I'm elected, I'm looking forward to looking through the budget and seeing what we can do for the schools.
Michael.
Well, I've been through 8 budget cycles, so I've reviewed it every year line by line for quite a while. And I chaired the finance committee this year. There's not a lot of money in that budget that's not contractually obligated. About 15%, I think, of the entire $285 million budget. The schools get 54% of the money. The city has the rest and pays the police, fire, administration. So there's really not a lot of money to go around. I think Chris hit on something that there should be some creativity, although I don't think regionalization is the way to go. I think I'm anxiously awaiting the report from the school committee on their building plans, because I think when we discussed some of those in our safety committee meeting, I don't know what they're going to do, but I think that we could consolidate maybe some of our school buildings so we don't have to operate 20 or 30, I think we have 30 buildings and 23 schools and 30 buildings, something like that. So we may be able to devise some savings there that can be used for other things for the schools. So, I know one thing, when we proposed a 20-cent tax increase.
10 seconds.
we get an awful lot of feedback and a lot of screaming and yelling at council meetings, so it's not an easy thing to do to raise money, but we'll try to find some more money.
Tom?
I believe that the schools should have more money brought in. I know the budget only allows so much, but there are other ways that are possible to discuss, possibly at some of our larger companies in the city, solicit them for donations, not vendors of the school department or the city, but larger businesses, whether it be a computer business or large property owners that have retail areas, get them involved in our schools, possibly pump a little money into the schools for different programs, books, computers, if they want to donate supplies such as that. I think it's something to look at.
We're going to let everybody finish and then you can rebut, okay?
Yeah, please.
Derek?
Absolutely, we need more money in the schools, but with the budget, I like to believe that the city council does a good job with the budget that they have in place, and there's not a lot of extra money to shuffle around. Different departments, different areas of the city all have a need for money, so it's easier said than done just to give the schools a whole bunch of money. But my wife being a teacher, I have Amazon boxes coming to my house on a weekly basis, 2 or 3 times a week. So there are a lot of teachers that are putting their own hard-earned money into their classrooms, and this shouldn't be the case. They should be provided the essentials so that they can effectively teach their students. So with that said, it's going to take a collaborative effort of the council to come together, go through the budget, and see if there's anywhere that they can possibly cut, because many times the first areas to be cut are in the area of education. You know, we heard about the EPIC program being cut, sports got cut over the years. All over the country you hear cut, and it comes from the students, when we actually be putting money into the students since they are the future, you know, of our city, our state, and our country. So we definitely need to put more money into the education system.
Thank you. Lamis?
Thank you. It's actually Lamis, but it's okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you, Deb. I'm a mother of 2. I have a freshman at Cranston East, and I have my son who's at Edward Highland, and I definitely understand the need for more funding. My son actually goes to a Title I school, and so there's definitely a lot of funding that we do need. While I trust the school committee members, and I hope to have, if elected, a relationship with the administration, with the school committee as well. You know, I can trust that there's no wasteful spending, but I really like to go ahead and continue to go through the budget, and I really do know that at the end of the day, the council can ratify it. One of the things that I would actually encourage for alternative funding is working with RIDE, because RIDE often suggests alternative funding through grants, and making sure that we can take advantage of those grants, that we can work also in collaboration with One Cranston as well, who does exist, in hopes that they can actually have alternative, they can have programs that would go ahead and teach the kids with 21st century skills and social needs as well. But definitely I am all in favor of providing additional funding for the school department, so as long as it's actually being used the proper way.
Thank you. Ed, you wanted to rebut? You have 60 seconds.
Thank you. I just want to agree with Tom. I think something that I'm already doing with the community-minded spirit is helping renovate that auditorium. The Cranston West Alumni Association has raised over $180,000 for the schools, and I've been an active part in that. In doing so, we renovated that entire auditorium, in addition to other projects throughout the city that we've partnered up with local businesses. These businesses aren't looking necessarily to obviously market their business. They're looking to give back to their community. Myself, I'm looking to have children, and I want to have the best school system possible for those kids. So I think we got to continue to look at creative avenues, like everyone else has said, and do our best for our community.
Mr. McCauley?
Thank you. Last night I attended a meeting. I was graciously invited, as we all were, to a meeting by the school committee regarding the Eden Park Pathfinder project. It's amazing. It's exciting what they have planned. Fortunately for Eden Park and my Ward 2 constituents and their families, is there's money already set aside. It's very important that we make this available for every school in the city. I know it can't happen overnight. Voting yes on one is a step in the right direction. We have to work with the new mayor that's coming in.
10 seconds.
And get more money from the mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Favicchio.
Just a point of information, the school committee, the school department currently work with RIDE. They do receive grants, and they work very diligently to obtain those grants, so they're currently doing that.
Mr. Pavlakis.
Thank you, Pam. Just to follow up with what a lot of these members up here have said, you know, I'm in favor of getting more money for the school department. We need to do that. I agree with them. I know over the last 4 years working on the budget with my colleagues is the hardest thing to do, because the budget gets cut by the mayor's office, then it comes to us, and we cut things, and we give a lot of money to the school department that we do cut. And I know we've spent many late nights trying to get as much money as we can. I would just be cautious about creative ways of getting money from businesses, because if you can't get that every year, it creates a structural deficit. So if we get a revenue stream, we need to make sure that we're going to get it every year, so that the next year, if we don't get that money from the businesses, we're not cutting programs. So I don't want to give anything and take it away. I want to give a lot, but we need to figure out a way to do it where we don't create a deficit.
Thank you. John. Oh, I'm sorry, did you want to say
Just one more
something?
thing, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I do want to point out that I think that the city council has done a fantastic job stretching the amount of money that they get from the mayor. I think Councilman Farina has done a great job. Councilman Hopkins has done a great job. I do think we do need a certain level of creativity, though, to try to stretch the money that we're getting and try to go out and seek other sources other than from the state and from the city. And I think the only way to really do that is to try to regionalize and merge our money with another municipality on certain services.